Hey friends, I have to be honest and say that it's getting more and more difficult. For me, who actually wanted to make a nice video about the iPhone 16 Pro, for you who have a right not to be misled, and especially for Apple, for whom the air is slowly getting really thin because they simply missed the connection to other manufacturers years ago and are standing still with the iPhone 16 Pro. I don't want to claim that the iPhone 16 Pro is a bad or inferior phone because that would simply be wrong. The iPhone 16 Pro is a rock-solid phone with an outstandingly good camera. Nothing more and nothing less. For years, there has been the same design over and over again, which I don't even think is so bad because I like the design. I just think it's a shame that the once most innovative company in the world has become so uninspired in terms of design and that there is simply no development at all on this front. Personally, I would have expected Apple to bring the first foldable smartphone onto the market, or one that is suddenly only half as thin or only half as heavy. So all the major problems that we are currently facing a few years ago, I would have thought that Apple would find a solution. Unfortunately, the reality is that they are being mercilessly overrun when it comes to optimizing space and weight, especially by Honor this year with its Magic V3 or Huawei with its genius triple folding smartphone. These companies simply seem to be miles ahead of the competition in research and development. And what is Apple doing in the meantime? Adding the fifth physical button to the iPhone's frame for camera control. I really thought that this could be a bit of innovation again, as smartphone cameras are playing an increasingly important role and entire livelihoods and industry are based on them. And being able to operate a smartphone camera more easily and intuitively via the frame seemed like a really good idea to me. You operate the button by pressing it lightly once to call up the settings, pressing it lightly twice to change the setting. With a swipe gesture you can change the zoom, focus or color of the image, and if you press the button all the way down, you press the shutter button for a photo or video. Actually, not a bad idea. Unfortunately, this idea fails in reality because it is designed to hold the smartphone horizontally when filming or taking photos. That's nice. I'm a YouTuber. In a 60:9 format, I take a lot of horizontal shots, but all other social media channels don't work horizontally but vertically in 9:60 format. And then the camera button is extremely difficult to operate with your finger. It's still possible with my small fingers, but with larger hands where the fingers are longer, it's no longer possible without dropping the device. In addition, pressing the button once is enough to open the camera. And what do you think happens all the time when I put my iPhone 16 Pro in my handbag or take it out of it and just grab the phone? This is just so poorly thought out. If they had at least set it to pressing the button twice to open the camera, then the camera wouldn't just turn on all the time. Compared to the iPhone 15 Pro, the previous model, there are a few minimal changes, and one of them is the size. The iPhone 16 Pro is 3mm longer and 0.9mm wider and a whopping 12 grams heavier than its predecessor. This means that you obviously can't continue to use your old cases, but definitely have to buy new ones. So you're again spending more money on Apple products. Another notable change from the iPhone 15 Pro to the iPhone 16 Pro is, as always, in the camera. This still consists of a triple camera with a 48 megapixel main camera, which Apple now calls the Fusion camera, an ultra wide angle camera that is 48 megapixel instead of 12 megapixel, and a 12 megapixel telephoto camera. Macro photos can now be taken with 48 megapixel and videos in 4K 120 FPS instead of just HD 120 FPS as before. Both of which are great, and I don't always want to say that this is nothing new in the Android world, but in the Android world this is nothing new. I have been recording videos in 4K with 120 FPS with my Xiaomi 14 Ultra for a long time. This can be used to generate really good, smooth, slow motion videos afterwards. In addition, the microphone on the iPhone 16 Pro has been amplified. There is a ring of 4 microphones with which the audio recordings are further optimized. The camera on the iPhone 16 Pro is undoubtedly one of the best on the market, but it is no longer the best camera. The iPhone definitely has to share the first place with a Galaxy S24 Ultra, a Pixel 9 Pro, and is sometimes overtaken by the Leica phone Xiaomi 14 Ultra. What has not changed is the fact that there will still be no AI on the iPhone 16 Pro for us here in Germany and in the EU at all. A few Apple Intelligence functions are expected to come to macOS, and that means for the MacBooks, in 2024. As of today, there is still no date for the AI functions for the iPhone to come to the EU, not even for 2025. And just because it was announced that the AI will also be available in German and other European languages, that doesn't say anything about when Apple's AI will come to us. I think that's very unfortunate because I find some of the AI functions which are based on ChatGPT really useful. For example, summarizing the incoming emails in the inbox so that you can see at a glance what the email is about. And I would like the iPhone MacBook users in this combination to finally be able to enjoy mirroring the iPhone on the MacBook. For example, to use apps from there without having to pick up the smartphone with all its temptations that are always waiting there when you actually want to work productively. I have been using this for a long time on my Windows laptop in conjunction with my Android smartphones, and I think it's a huge added value. As far as iOS 18 is concerned, the innovations are also very limited without the Apple Intelligence. The control center can finally be customized, as can the color and placement of the apps on the home screen. Wow. With all of this, you have to ask yourself the question, who is an iPhone 16 Pro actually worth it for? In my opinion, an iPhone 16 Pro can be worthwhile if you still have an iPhone 12 or older and absolutely have to stay in the ecosystem. Because then you benefit from a better camera and a stronger battery and the really long updates, which usually come for the iPhone up to 7 years. For those who have an iPhone 13 or newer, the upgrade is not worth it in any way from a rational point of view, but I am the last person who would condemn irrational purchases of phones, but I am always aware of it when I act irrationally and do not have the wrong idea of buying the latest technology or the most up-to-date software, because you definitely won't get that with the iPhone 16 Pro. And I am repeating myself here like over and over and over again. I really regret this. I was always so impressed by what Apple was able to create, and it was just fun to use the devices. I still really hope that they will become what they once were, but as I said, with a view to what Honor, Xiaomi and Huawei are bringing to the market, or Samsung with its AI functions, it is becoming increasingly difficult for Apple to ever fill this huge black hole of lack of progress and get back to the top of the technology companies. No wonder that sanctions are being imposed when the fear of becoming completely irrelevant is growing out of one's own complacency. I personally would like to see fewer sanctions and more investment in progress and development, because I think it's a very questionable approach to prohibit others from developing further just because you can no longer manage it yourself. Other leading technology companies have already gone under because they thought no one could get past them. And if star investor Warren Buffett significantly reduced his Apple shares, the alarm bells would ring for me personally. I hope you enjoyed the video about the iPhone 16 Pro today. If so, then please hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. But in any case, please remain respectful in the comments. It's only a smartphone we're talking about. With that in mind, friends, thank you so much for watching. Goodbye and see you next time. Mwah.